Hello and welcome to episode 6 of Sight and Sound. My name is Nikhil Karula. One of our special guests for this episode is the amazingly talented Greg Spero on keys.
Such a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Dude, thank you for being here. First of all, you are a monster musician.
Thank you.
You are a monster musician. I want to ask you just a question, just as a piano player. When you approach, playing intros, playing solos, what are you thinking or what are you not thinking? Are you just trying to be in the moment and be present? Tell me, what is your philosophy on playing and soloing?
That's one of the greatest challenges of life, actually, is like, what do you do in that moment when you have prepared for something and you have all the knowledge that you need, but the knowledge is just one piece of it. You have to be in touch with something deeper so that all that knowledge can come through you in a way where it makes sense in the moment.
Right.
And that's why I actually, a lot of musicians historically have used all different ways to tap into this. I personally use meditation.
And I love that.
For me, music is a meditation.
I agree. Same.
And the challenge, it's funny because it's not really a challenge, but it is a challenge to just sit and be fully present in the moment. And the more that you can do that, the more you can be just like in touch with which is happening right now, the more all the natural things that you sort of try to learn through your education just come out seamlessly and naturally. Like you will, if you're present, you will end up listening.
I noticed that you did something that was really cool. You were playing some intros, and while you were playing, you could tell when you were I'm just fooling around in this moment. And you got into a place of like peace, and you were experimenting, which was such an amazing thing because you were playing all these crazy intervals and solo licks and just like, inversions of chords. And then you just took a moment and then you started playing what you wanted to compose in the moment. Mm-hmm. So do you think, when you're writing or when you're playing music, that you kind of need to be in that playful place to get it out, and then that composer kind of place where you're settled down a little bit?
Those don't have to be dichotomous. You can be a playful composer. That's what I try to get to. I also, one of the sort of techniques is to like throw myself off, to catch myself off guard. That's what I was doing at the beginning of that take that we just did, of While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I just started playing and I kind of forced myself to just keep going and trick myself, go in different directions and hear where it was going. And then the only thing that you can do in that moment then is process what has happened and then play the next thing that would make sense after that. But if you try to think about it and you've played something that is very disparate, if you're just playing around, messing around, doing something that is not necessarily meant to be profound or make sense or anything, that then you can catch yourself, you can hook, kind of put a hook in your mind that carries you along and doesn't even let you stray from the moment. It doesn't let your mind wander, because what's happening is very complicated and pretty and interesting.
Right.
And if you're messing around and not trying to do something specific with it, you will often surprise yourself with beauty, which then takes you deeper into that moment. And it's this sort of cyclical effect of then really being able to dig in and find that fully present state. And then the challenge is to just stay there for the rest of the recording. It's really hard when you're recording.
Right.
It's a lot easier when there's no pressure. When the recording box isn't on, I will sit and play piano for hours at night. And I'll play the most beautiful, profound things. And then I'll try to go and record them, and there's no way that I can get them out.
It's hard to capture that. That's the hardest part. I think I have my greatest musical moments when the world is sleeping. It's in the middle of the night, and I'm in that place that I don't think is always easy to recreate. But, something that you touched on with your playing, I did a concert long time ago, right out of music school, with Herbie Hancock. And I hear so much of his influence in your philosophy and playing, and I know he's a friend of yours. But the cool thing was he said, you got to learn everything to forget everything. And I just remember thinking that, and it's like, when I try to track a guitar solo, I always need 2 or 3 takes where they're kind of just takes that I'm going to throw away just to get the noodling or whatever it is out of me and then get to that place. So it's like I saw you kind of do this like experimentation thing, and then you came to this place where it's like, okay, it's back to the music. It's like you learn everything, you experiment, and then you forget everything to get to that stillness or that place, that center that centers yourself. So what I love is like you're a total innovator with the way you play. I saw so many things that you did. I'm like, every take you played was unbelievable. Every take you played was amazing. But I saw a difference in how you were approaching everything. So it's like you get into this place where it's almost like you mean business. You know, it's like you get to this place where you're like, okay, now I'm done. I'm done experimenting, and I want to get to that place where you make music. What are the jazz innovators for you that have been those kind of players for you?
Well, so let's talk about Herbie's influence a little bit, because a lot of people do compare my playing to Herbie's, and I take so much from Herbie. He's been a friend, but even more so a mentor and a teacher of mine. And I'm so grateful for it. There's nothing that I could imagine that would have been better and more profound for my understanding of music and understanding of life than the things that he has taught me. But it's really been more about the non-musical stuff that then comes into the musical stuff, like
the meditation.
Well, yeah,
Buddhism too, right?
Yeah, even one thing you referred to, it's very reminiscent of Buddhism, which Herbie introduced me to, and I started practicing and still practice to this day. But it's there's knowledge and then there's wisdom, right? Like, knowledge will get you a lot of capabilities, but to use those capabilities, like to have an actual end in mind, you need wisdom. In the case of technology and computers and nuclear energy, it's like we have the knowledge to power the earth or destroy the earth, right? It's the wisdom of how to use that, of how to collectively come to a place where we're not going to destroy the earth, we're going to power the earth. That's probably a better outcome, right? And
we hope.
With music, we have knowledge, all of the knowledge that we accumulate, and then we have the wisdom of what to do in that moment, of how to get to a place where that knowledge will be useful to us. And so that's the macro of the learning of a music student, which I still consider myself a student of music. I will for the rest of my life. I will never. I've sort of given up on getting to where I want to be, because where I want to be keeps moving and moving and moving.
That's true. It's always like that.
But and the greatest have that. Keith Jarrett. I was at a solo piano Keith Jarrett concert and talking to his brother, and his brother was like, "Keith, this was so nervous." And this was years ago when he was playing at Carnegie Hall. His brother turned to me and was like, he was so nervous before the show. He was like unbelievable. And I was like, is that? Oh, he was like, yeah, he always gets super nervous before the show.
That's crazy.
He's like the greatest living pianist at that time in the world, in my opinion. Like nobody can top him technically and musically. And he talks about it on stage too. It's like keeping the hacky sack in the air. Musically, he talks about that was one of the metaphors he used. But so no, we'll never get there. We're not supposed to get there. It's supposed to be a journey. But in the microcosm of what we were doing here in this recording session, I came in and I listened to your song, and I've played Well My Guitar Gently Weeps, but not like your version. And we sat and I had to explore and experiment.
Right.
I didn't want to play your song like you play your song.
I didn't want you to either.
Because
that's the beauty of having you here.
Well, and that's the beauty of music, right? Like that's the beauty of two people coming together to collaborate. But what I wanted to do was explore and see what worked and see what didn't. And so that was the playing around and finding my way and experimenting. And that's like that journey of exploring. That's sort of what humans are meant to do. It's like what we're built for.
I love that you asked me. You said, do you want me to play it pretty straight, or do you want me to kind of, embellish? I said, do whatever you think is going to make it magnificent.
Yeah.
And you did. And it's like you explored all these possibilities, and you kind of, what was so great is as a band, my whole band was leaning in all the directions you were taking us. And it's
Well, they were listening too.
Yes.
That's the thing, is when you listen, and this is the profound thing about jam sessions. This is what I do at my studio. Every week we have a jam session, and I draw everybody in, and I try to, like, sometimes I'll stop what's going on because the message doesn't get through. But the message that you can give to people, if you're in that moment and you're listening to everybody and exploring, listening to what you're doing, but also listening to what everybody else is doing. Like the drummer went into this hi-hat or this ride pattern, and I followed right along with him, and like my energy matched his energy, and then we were able to move from there. Like, and he noticed it too. If one person is in there listening and being present is infectious, because that's why we're all here in the first place.
True art to music is listening. It's like one of my favorite parts of collaborating with people. It's like you hear how everybody listens. When everybody's listening together, there becomes this energy in the room and it allows whatever that magical part of the studio is, that energy or that vibe or like, whatever the zen is, that just comes in that moment where we all know we're just contributing to make something greater that we can all listen to together. And that's like the beautiful part of making music. And you do it so skillfully and so artfully. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of this. And thank you for being our special guest on Sight and Sound, episode 6.
I really appreciate you having me. That's music. When we are listening, it brings us together. That's the whole point of music in the first place.
I love that. You've heard it here first. Greg Spero, jazz pioneer, musician extraordinaire. What a pleasure it was. This is just the beginning. We're going to make a lot of music together. So
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Nikhil.
Thank you so much.